Let's move to this story now. Well, according to the latest United Nations report, South Africa ranks 93 out of 162 countries on the Gender Inequality Index. This doesn't only speak to women in the workplace, but the pay gap and also implementing the laws that already are there to empower women in South Africa. The broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Commission held a seminar to look at women's economic empowerment through BBBEE laws in 27 years of democracy. Joining us now is Zodwa Ntuli, the commissioner of that particular commission. Good evening, Zodwa. It's been 18 years, Zodwa, since these BEE laws came into effect, and all we see are JSE-listed companies working out with, BEE certificates. What does this latest report that you shared with us today tell us about the state of women when it comes to empowerment?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing that we must just indicate is that the event that we held today is an opportunity for us to raise awareness, but to also strengthen the advocacy around women economic empowerment. I think if we forget to raise these issues and we become complacent, I think what happens is that people go back to their original positions where women continue to be marginalized, continue to be excluded from the economy. So it does give us an opportunity really to reflect, but also to raise awareness and to make sure that people as society, we do not forget that it is important that we implement all the measures that government has put in place to ensure that we achieve economic empowerment of women. So the second thing that I just wish to say as well is that, of course, people are concerned that increasingly what we're seeing is companies announcing that they've achieved BBBEE level 1, BBBEE level 2, and so forth. So now, as the Commission, we're equally concerned, but at the same time, we equally want to give the benefit of a doubt that maybe the structures that they have implemented and the initiatives that they have implemented have given them that kind of a rating to warrant them the BBBEE level that is higher. However, on reflection, when we look at the reports, the one thing that we've always been concerned about is that what appears on the scorecard does not seem to be reflected on the real life of the entities in question. And that is why then, in terms of the legislation, the BBBEE Act, when the Commission receives these reports on an annual basis, it has an opportunity to do or conduct a site visit to verify if the information that has been submitted is a true and correct reflection of what the situation is. So we are conducting those site visits. We have initiated the site visits in this particular term after we received the reports, and we continue to identify those entities that we do site visit on.
Zodwa, we've heard this story many times before on the scourge of fronting and misrepresentation of BEE statuses of companies. Black women still bear the brunt of some of this fronting. And you recently held another seminar where you talked about this. What's the status of that as far as women in South Africa, black women in particular, are concerned?
I must say fronting continues to be a nightmare for us. And I think the fact that it has been widespread for so long, it has actually proven to us that it is going to require some additional and extra effort to eradicate it. But we're beginning to see some results in now with a few matters that we have now had in court, where, for instance, the courts have actually pronounced on the importance of adhering to the rules and ensuring that economic empowerment in general for black people doesn't become a tick box exercise and doesn't become a make-believe that companies sometimes make it to appear like. Of course, each year we are required to give you the status. So you will hear the same story from us each and every year. However, what we think will be important for you to note is what we are doing now after these stories. For 4 years, we've been seeing the progress not going anywhere. Yes, we're moving, but we're not moving anywhere fast enough. So it is important that the stagnant status should be addressed. So one of the things that as the Commission, as I've indicated, we are now beginning to do is that we're conducting the site visits. We are visiting the JSE listed companies that have reported. We are assessing their compliance initiatives and to ensure that there isn't any fronting arrangements that are in there. Secondly, we are also receiving complaints. We are beginning to see now the results of the investigative efforts that the Commission has made. We have now referred matters to the SAPS, which we hopefully will see some results in terms of prosecution. And the reason why we are not able to, for instance, indicate to you which cases we've referred to SAPS is that as the Commission, we are not allowed to publish anything if we have referred it to SAPS. However, we've got matters where we've identified fronting practices, misrepresentation that involved women, where we have actually made some strides. And earlier today in the webinar, I was giving, for instance, an example with a complaint that was lodged by a receptionist in a company called Risk Integration Technology, which made this woman a 33% shareholder in the company. However, we were not able to find any evidence of participation or any economic interest, which then is an indication of fronting and clear fronting. We find similar cases that involve women, where basically they are made part of the structure, but they are not. So yes, we can do something in terms of identifying the fronting practices themselves, act on them and refer them to the relevant authorities. But I think it's going to take more than that in terms of advocating for people to prevent those situations from happening, people to identify when they are in fronting arrangements upfront before they actually get into serious trouble. And that is why we're running these advocacy sessions and awareness sessions to make sure that everybody that engages in any transaction or partnership or BBBEE scheme, that they understand what they are getting into, because it's not all the time that the BBBEE Commission as an entity is going to be in every boardroom to be able to see that your agreements are not in order. And we are also encouraging people to then come out and come to the Commission. Sorry, just before I forget, we also had a matter which we investigated that involved the CRRCE loco, which is a Chinese owned company that was granted contracts in Transnet, and they had gotten involved with a BE partner in South Africa. But then we had the BE partner complain to the Commission that they are not playing any role, they're not receiving any economic benefit, they're not being allowed participation. We did investigate that matter and we made our findings, and CRRCE loco took the Commission on review, and we successfully defended that matter in the High Court. And we are aware that now they filed papers to request the court to grant them leave to appeal that particular judgment. But I think we are beginning to see the courts really pronouncing very strongly on fronting matters or even matters of misrepresentation, because they take us backwards.
One concerning thing is that some of these actions, and there are many similar stories out there, it seems these companies or these perpetrators are actually getting a slap on the wrist. Are we actually going to see some real action of people being hauled to court or even going behind bars because they are literally stealing from the poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable, who are supposed to be empowered?
Yes. As I say to you that we are beginning to see now these matters now getting to the courts. We are now beginning to see the referrals that we have made to various entities being taken up in terms of we having engagements obviously on the matters. But I think because the criminal justice system, once we've investigated, the matters will then have to go to the criminal justice system. But I do understand when people are feeling that this is just a slap on the wrist of these perpetrators. The issue is that once we have investigated, it is only upon conviction that some of the penalties in the legislation can kick in. And that conviction should be taking place in the criminal justice system. And so that is the process that is outside the BBBEE Commission as the regulatory body that monitors and is able to detect some of these things through complaints and sometimes on its own initiative. But I think what we should find comfort in is that because the BBBEE legislation allows for the Commission, when they have found a misrepresentation, when they found false information, to ensure that they pursue some of these matters through the courts to make sure that we're able to cancel licenses that have been awarded to these entities so that they're not able to continue as if nothing has happened, but also to ensure that we're able to restrain that particular conduct through a court order while the criminal processes are taking place. That is something that the Commission has already started doing. There are matters now that we've instructed counsel, several matters, I think it could be close to about 8 matters now that are in the process, in the court processes, where we are wanting the courts to now pronounce and actually make those orders where licenses, contracts can be cancelled. But also, if you recall, we also, in the fishing industry, we referred a matter to DAF, which is the department that is responsible for the fishing licenses, to consider withdrawing the license of African tuna traders, which we found as the Commission to have been involved in fronting by using its employees as if those employees are owners when they were procuring the fishing rights within the system. And we want to pursue those issues to make sure that now there can be consequences for circumvention and consequences, especially for blatant criminality that we continue to see.
Zodwa Ntuli, the commissioner at the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Commission, thank you very much there for your time and telling us that if not on the workplace when it comes to unemployment numbers, women are actually getting the short end of the stick as well in the boardroom as well. Thank you very much for your time.